season. So, the AFC West plays the AFC South and the NFC North this year. Okay? But that's not easy by any means. The NFC North, obviously, the Bears, Packers, Vikings, Lions. In the AFC South, you have the Texans, Colts, Jaguars should be better, and the Titans. The Kansas City Chiefs' Vegas win total is 10. Last year, they won 12 games last year. Very impressive. Their schedule this year is medium hard, at-large games against, of course, the Patriots and the Baltimore Ravens. The number one teams in their divisions. Key losses: safety Eric Berry, outside linebacker Justin Houston, outside linebacker D Ford, Mitch Morris, their center, cornerback Steven Nelson, tight end Demetrius Hill, running back Kareem Hunt, who was out of the playoffs last year from that incident of abuse, and running back Spencer Ware. And it looks like Tyreek Hill is going to be in some trouble himself, and we don't know how much time he's going to miss, but he was their best receiver last year. Kansas City lost a ton. Their key additions: safety Tyrann Mathieu, defensive end Alex Okafor, outside linebacker Damian Wilson, running back Carlos Hyde, cornerback Brashard Breeland, and defensive end Frank Clark in that epic trade, whom they drafted: wide receiver Mecole Hardman, safety Juwan Thornhill, defensive tackle Kalen Saunders, cornerback Rashad Fenton, running back Darwin Thompson, and guard Nick Allegretti. The Chiefs, they blew up their defense, and it was certainly the right call looking how bad it was last year, but I also think they gave up some of their best players there, the players to build around. Kansas City gave up 5.9 yards per play last year, and one has to wonder how bad they would have been if their offense did not put them way ahead in so many games and they got to play one-dimensional, against the pass always. The Chiefs will certainly be downgraded a bit for losing guys like Ford, Houston, Berry, and Morse. But now this team's without Kareem Hunt and possibly Tyreek Hill, right? Major domestic issues there. Due to this bad news, the Chiefs were kind of forced to draft Mecole Hardman. He's kind of like the only Hill prospect replacement left on the draft board. The trade for Frank Clark kind of took away the need for an edge pass rusher, but they waited too long for help at corner and at safety, I think, and obviously defensive tackle. You have to give the Chiefs props, for the Clark trade. I think it was smart to do that. He did so well for the Seahawks last year. But I mean, why did the Seahawks get rid of him? Why were they not that high at him? So I guess there's a little pause there for a little bit of concern. Kansas City really lacks linebackers, corners, safeties. They took a hit at wide receiver, took a big hit at running back. I don't really see how Carlos Hyde also fits into this offense. They picked up Carlos Hyde. He's kind of like a bull rusher, I don't think he's that finesse guy that the Chiefs have had with Hunt, and not they do still have with Damian Williams. I have to take away 2.5 games away from what they lost. I have to take away 2.5, okay? And I'm very concerned for this team, okay? Here's how I got to their win total. 12 wins last year. Pythag was 11.57, which I take average at 11.8. Minus a half game for being very healthy last year. Then you give them back a half game for having a medium hard schedule last year, but take it away for having a medium hard schedule this year. Take away a half game. Take away those 2.5 games for what they lost. I only think through the draft and that trade, they only got back a half a game win from all those players they have to replace, which brings me to 9.8 wins. Now, Vegas and their win total have them at 10 wins. So I almost match exactly what Vegas has there. So, obviously, too many questions going around with Tyreek Hill. Unfortunately, we're going to have to pass.
Tourism!
Next, we have the Los Angeles Chargers. Vegas win total is at 9.5. They also had a great season last year and won 12 games themselves. All right. Their schedule is medium. Their at-large games is against Miami and Pittsburgh. How nice to be able to play Miami. Key additions, quarterback Tyrod Taylor to back up their quarterback, obviously, in Phillip Rivers. And outside linebacker Thomas Davis. Their key losses, wide receiver Tyrell Williams, defensive tackle Darius Philin, defensive tackle Corey Luggett, cornerback Jason Verrett, safety Jahil Adey. Who they drafted, defensive tackle Jerry Tillery, safety Nasir Adderley, offensive tackle Trey Pipkins, inside linebacker Drew Tranquil, quarterback Easton Stick, outside linebacker Amike Ekubuli, I just destroyed his name, and defensive tackle Cortez Broughton. So, Tom Telesco needed to kind of help prop up this defense a little bit to reopen the playoff window, I think, for losing a few of those guys. I think the trio of Tillery, Tranquil, and Adderley can contribute pretty early. So I do like that. The Chargers were 9th best on defense and 11th best on offense last year. If you're looking straight at their stats, definitely enough to make the playoffs. They made some smart decisions. Phillip Rivers did not turn the ball over as much as he used to. Then they got cremated by the Patriots. Absolute cremated. All right. And I think that was due to, like I said last year, if you remember, very poor preparation for Tom Brady and how to beat him. They didn't blitz him, played zone. Terrible. Now, health's going to be the biggest question for this team, right? You got Keenan Allen, that's injury prone. Joey Bosa's a little bit injury prone. Melvin Gordon's injury prone. But I really like their draft. Okay? I really like who they picked up. The tackle of Jerry Tillery and Adderley and safety. And the biggest question here is, what are they going to do when they get to the playoffs? So, when you look at who they lost a receiver, Tyrell Williams, but they're pretty loaded there. And then a defensive tackle, Darius Philin. But, I really like how they drafted. And I think because of that, it's really going to give them the depth that they needed. Last year, they did lose Jason Verrett, but he was injured a ton last year. So when you look at what happened last year, I had them at 11 on Pythag and 12 in total wins, so I averaged it to 11.5. Didn't take away anything for injuries, didn't give them anything. Their schedule was medium last year. Their schedule is medium this year. I take away a half game for what they lost, and I give them a full game for their draft and what they gained, which brings me to 12 wins. Vegas has them at 9.5. Vegas took them a lot down more than I did. But if you look at, I don't think they really lost a lot. And they get to play the Dolphins for their non-conference. All right, that's the luckiest thing that could happen for a second-place team in the AFC. Okay? The Dolphins. And we know how bad they're going to be this year. Pittsburgh's a little bit down themselves, right? So, when I look at their schedule, they at least get Pittsburgh at home so they could win that game. And they should have no problem winning at Miami. I think this is an easy play. I have them at 12 wins. If I even count their W's and L's on their schedule, I have at least 10. I'm very confident in taking the Chargers over 9.5 wins here this year. If you look at what the Chiefs did and who they lost and look at what the Chargers lost, it's a huge difference. All right, next we have the Denver Broncos. Their Vegas season win total is at 7 this year. They won 6 games last year, but their Pythagorean was actually pretty high at 7.31. We'll get into that. Their schedule is very hard. because they have to play the Chiefs twice and the Chargers twice. But they're very hard because their at-large games are against Cleveland and Buffalo that are supposed to be, a lot better, much more improved. Key losses: quarterback Case Keenum, center Matt Paredes, cornerback Bradley Roby, linebacker Shaquille Barrett, tight end Matt Lacoste, and offensive tackle Billy Turner. Also, after I did this, I had to add linebacker Brandon Marshall. They lost him as well. He was a huge part of their defense. Key additions: coach Vic Fangio from the Bears, defensive coordinator. Quarterback Joe Flacco. Cornerback Kareem Johnson. Cornerback Bryce Callahan. And right tackle Juwan James, who they drafted. Tight end Noah Fant. Guard/tackle Dalton Risner. Quarterback Drew Lock. Defensive tackle Draymond Jones. Offensive linebacker Justin Hollins. And wide receiver Juwan Winfrey. So let me start out by saying that I especially, as a Bear fan, love Vic Fangio. He was amazing. He's tough. He's not. He doesn't try to get to the media and talk a lot. He's more of those, quit bugging me type guys. Doesn't need the showboat. Doesn't need the popularity. It's kind of like one of those, gritty guys. A little bit Belichickian, almost, right? But what he did under Jim Harbaugh in San Francisco and in Chicago, I thought was amazing. Now, in saying that, being a head coach in this league can be quite different, okay? A lot different. And I don't know if the divas in the NFL can handle that in the way he coaches. There's only one coach that's proven they can, and that's Bill Belichick, right? So I'm not so sure his personality fits as a head coach. I think it's perfect as a coordinator. But as a head coach and a leader, it's a lot different. So let's see what transpired this offseason. Losing their quarterback, Case Keenum, wasn't much. And he only had 1 year with this team anyway. But I also, looking at Joe Flacco, he's not a lot. He's not that big of an upgrade either. I'm not even sure if he is an upgrade. I don't know what Elway was thinking there. Now, I do like their draft. I like them drafting Drew Lock later. He was a lot of value. I love the running back, Lindsey. He's a beast, So I don't think they lost or gained a ton in the offseason there. It's kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul from Keenum to Flacco. But what I really do not understand is drafting Noah Fant and their tight end. In the first pick of their first round. They had 3 tight end drafts the last couple of years. 3 tight ends drafted, and now they're drafting another one as first pick. I mean, what's going on with that? They had Troy Fumagalli, and they had Butt from Michigan. I just do not understand that. Okay? The thing I'm focused on is Von Miller's older. They lost their center, Matt Paredes. I think that was huge. Bradley Roby. They gained what they lost, like I said, kind of. But in doing that, let's see where I'm at. 6 wins last year, but their Pythag was, like I said, high, 7.31. So I have them at 6.7 wins. I take away a half game for being very healthy last year. They had a hard schedule last year, so I give them a game back. But I take another one away because their schedule is very hard this year. Take away a game, about a game for what they lost, but gave them back a half game for what they gained. I have them at 6.2 wins, which doesn't meet the threshold. So I lean under 7 wins with this team, but not quite enough to get there. Not yet, anyways. But yeah, I suppose maybe I was downplaying a little bit, losing those linebackers like Brandon Marshall. And obviously at the center, Matt Paredes, and the other linebacker, Shaquille Barrett, maybe that was a little bit more than what I was leading you on to. Moving on, let's get to last and not least this year, maybe, the Oakland Raiders. Vegas win total is at 6.5. Last year, they won 4 games. Only 4. Coach John Gruden. Schedule is hard. this year because they're playing